Hello my friends, as you can see we have a new map update. So Deep State decided to have the option for the NATO standards, and if we zoom in, for example, to the Bakhmut city, which is the greatest hotspot, the hottest spot right now, so we have the name of the Russian brigades that are actually in that area. I thought that mainly it was the Wagner there, but in fact we have other Russian divisions of the regular Russian army, for example 137th Guard Airborne Regiment that was responsible to take Chasiv Yar and Ivanovska. Obviously they are working together with the Wagner forces, but still Wagner has the majority if we speak about the soldiers population from the Russian side, as well as artillery and other vehicles. So Wagner is here, PMC Wagner, and this is the city. So they are in Bakhmut. They were able to capture this part, the eastern part of the city, and now the river Bakhmutka divides Ukrainian side with the Russian controlled territory, temporary controlled. So I zoom out from this area to see the advancement of the Wagner forces that happened yesterday. So it was over here, they've took this part of the region, and also they've took the small field over here, and they are now closer to encircle the Bakhmut city, but still far away to achieve this goal. They cannot close this gap over here because for that they need to go through the city itself, and this is unachievable task for the Wagner forces right now. So they concentrate to take this road under their control. This is the supply line that goes from the Chasiv Yar to supply the Bakhmut city Ukrainian soldiers. Now from what I understood, Ukraine still uses this main road until some point, and then Ukrainian tracks go just through the field to the Bakhmut city itself to be further away from the Russian controlled territories to minimize the risk of the columns to be ambushed. Yeah, it's better to say convoys, not the columns. My friends, before we continue with the news, let me tell you about the partner of my channel, the Atlas VPN. They recently introduced the big deal for my subscribers. The Atlas VPN not just supports my channel, but they also support Ukrainian people. Recently, the mother company of the Atlas VPN participated in the great event where they collected 1 million euros to buy the special radar equipment for Ukrainian army. And together that event collected more than 5 million euros. So we'll have our radars very soon, and it was done in Lithuania. And let me tell you why do I think that the Atlas VPN is the best VPN out there. You may hear that I'm not the native English speaker, and what helps me to improve my English? Honestly, watching the live shows on Netflix. My favorite series to study is Friends, but it's not available in my country, but then I turn on the Atlas VPN. Well, it is now available for me. I also rent my current house with a great discount using Atlas VPN. For example, Booking doesn't have the fixed price and it may vary depends on your country. So by changing your virtual location you may find the best price. Atlas VPN encrypts your data so it's out of reach by the government, annoying ads or hackers. And yes, believe me, your personal account may be vulnerable, especially when you use the public Wi-Fi. Atlas VPN has the breach monitoring service that helps to prevent the hacking of your devices, so then I see the warning message I disconnect from the public Wi-Fi. Atlas VPN helps me to access services and websites which are blocked in my country. I know why, but Patreon is one of them. My friends, and now please check out the link below where you can sign up for the 3 years offer for 183 per month, where you can have 83% of discount together with 3 months for free. This limited offer is available with my personal link and it expires next month, my friends, so hurry up to join the club. The Russian army not only advances towards the Bakhmut city, but recently they moved towards Previlia across this road over here. So it was yesterday and it is today. They covered some sort of the territory and potentially they might go to Slavansk, but still it's a very long way for Russians to make this possible. And I think they need at least 3 more Wagner armies to try to encircle this area. Actually, this is the urban area all across this road over here, and to encircle this, it's just not real with the current Russian resources and Wagner resources. And more about the fields that Russia take control over, let me show you one picture. So this is the drone picture of the field, which is very close to the Bakhmut city. You can see some of the traces of the artillery shells that happened to bomb this field for a long time. And also there are some light marks out there. I cannot zoom in to show you, but I can tell you what those white parts are. And basically those are the fallen Russian soldiers near to the Bakhmut, and this is just the part of the field. And we have many of the fields around there, and you can understand the scale of the Russian losses. For me, as for the normal human being, I still cannot understand why people go and die for nothing over there. They will not be remembered as heroes. They're not doing anything for their motherland. They're just wasting their lives for Putin to stay in power longer. By the time Russian regime collapses, the memory of those soldiers would just disappear, as it happened with Afghan soldiers of Soviet Union who also wasted their lives for nothing, and by that time at least they hadn't had any choice. Now Russians, they do have a choice not to go to the army, but still somehow they go there, and here is the result. And if we already compared it with the Afghan war, Russia has the same losses as in the Afghan war every month in Ukraine. Here, Russia officially say that they send just qualified soldiers, not the young men, but they take the young men just from the army who are 18, 19 years old, and they put them on the army contract after they serve the mandatory term. So basically there is no huge difference with the Soviet Union style, but still Russian citizens may refuse to go to the army, and for that they just have to pay some of the penalty. That's it. The penalty is not even the term in prison. For the penalty you just pay some funds. It's like in Ukraine nowadays. If you have the notice to go and serve in the army, you may not go. In that case you'll pay fine. That's it. In Russia it's the same, and I would say more easy, because they haven't declared the war and they have the normal status. Not even the martial law was applied. But still, the last year mobilization campaign was successful for Russia. There were lots of the men who were going to die in Ukraine, as they were going on some sort of the picnic. I was promised to receive the video about this particular case and Russian offensive near to the Bakhmut, and I'll publish that video on my Telegram channel. The United States have performed the simulated nuclear strike on St. Petersburg, the second largest city in Russia, using B-52 strategic bombers. Basically, it flown across the Baltic Sea and was accompanied by the Polish fighter jets. And yes, there was no launch of any kind of the missiles. The airplane just turned right and went southbound, but it was in a close proximity to St. Petersburg, very close range for the nuclear missiles. So what our allies are doing here, they're showing Russia that they're not just the only nuclear country in this world, and there will be the payback. And our close ally Poland is looking to increase the number of their soldiers in the army up to 300,000. And it should be the most capable army in the Eastern Europe, based on what weaponry they do have right now and what will go to the Polish army from other allies. You already know that lots of the ammunitions were delivered to Poland from the United States of America. The part of that weaponry will go to Ukraine, but also the vast part will stay in Poland and will go to serve in the Polish army. About the Patriot air defense systems that Ukraine has received, we have the comment of our Air Force commander Ignat. He said that we can shut down Russian aviation with up to 150 kilometers range. It means that we may shut down their airplanes far behind the front lines. And it is the main point for Ukraine with those systems, so we mainly need it for our counterattack, because Russia may seize our attacks using their aviation, because still they have lots of the airplanes and the superiority over Ukraine in that parameter. So we need to seize the Russian aviation, then our forces will go on the south or wherever the counterattack will begin. I think that Prigozhin got his roof a little bit leaking. He has definitely some psychological problems, maybe because of the problems in general that he has on the front lines and with access to the Russian resources. And today he said that he wants to be the Ukrainian president in 2024, and he can compete with President Zelensky and Poroshenko during the election campaign. Well, you might say that this is total absurd, which definitely it is, but this may open the cards to show how Russia thinks right now in general, so they might create the alternate Ukraine and perform some sort of the Korean scenario. Well, it is the big one and should be the topic of the separate video, but let me tell you in general. So Russian elite has already understood that they're out of the resources to take control over all of the Ukraine, but they may secure the current territories and they may say that Donetsk is the capital of Ukraine and they do not recognize the Ukrainian government and other Ukraine. They might unite the self-proclaimed republics into something bigger and will continue to boil this war for a long time, at least until 2025. Then the new president will be elected. So the only opportunity that Putin is seeking right now is to reduce the military support for Ukraine, and for that he cannot do anything but just to wait and perform his own some sort of the tactical scenarios. From the strategic point of view, nowadays there is no any way for Russia to win this war, so he hopes for some sort of the external factors and forces. This is not the leadership skill, I would say. And the Russian military criminal Girkin, probably you know the guy, he's responsible for downing the MH17 over Ukraine long time ago, and he says that it's better to stop the assault of the Russian forces on the eastern part of Ukraine because of the severe losses, and it's better to attack from other directions where Ukrainian forces were not able to create significant defense, and they're simply losing their men, and there will be not enough resources to withstand the Ukrainian counterattack that will happen in around 2 months. And I think I would agree with that statement. So what Russia does right now, that they're gaining some of the territories, even the part of the Bakhmut city, but for what cost? If it was the decisive battle in a capital city, I would say yes, Russia took the part of Ukraine, the vast territory, and now it's the battle for Kiev. They need to waste their resources to get the Kiev under control, but it's far, far from Kiev, and still they need to cover lots of the kilometers, thousands, to get Ukraine under the control. If their strategic goal is to take Kiev, they'll waste all of their resources until they go there, and probably it's the Ukrainian tactics that is working fine for our side. Yes, we also have severe losses, but we cost Russia many times more. Iran has officially announced the deal to purchase Sukhoi Su-35 fighter jet from the Russian Federation. Well, so far we are out of the number of how many military jets Iranian army would have, but some of the Israeli media say that the number could be up to 24 fighter jets, and that is the significant number. And Sukhoi 35 is the best Russian fighter jet that is in production. Yes, they have the T-50, the 5th generation fighter jet, but they have not many of them. And still they're going through the flight test. It's the same story with Armata T-14 Russian tank. And some of the financial news which are not really great. We have the first biggest failure of the bank since 2008 crisis. The Silicon Valley Bank went bankrupt. Or we have the other word for it, collapsed, together with around $200 billion that were on the accounts of the clients of that bank. At least we got this huge number from many of the media resources. I think this is the total stake of the bank and not only the money that clients got out there. Also, those are the credits and investments into the projects of the Silicon Valley. And you know, 2 years ago I spoke with a guy who went to the Silicon Valley. He's the IT expert and he got a very nice job out there. And he says that it was very easy to obtain the credits from this bank for some sort of the projects. Well, at least it was for him, but there's the chance that the big credit bubble was created and this bank could potentially invest in a project just because they were based in the Silicon Valley, not knowing whether they will bring profit or not. That is just my idea. And Silicon Valley, I think it's just overrated a bit, and I would say that it's not a good sign for the United States economy. Obviously, it will touch the Silicon Valley itself, and it may also create the chain reaction for other banks and for cryptocurrency. And remember, yesterday in my video I showed you this airplane on fire. This is the Russian Sukhoi Su-27 fighter jet airplane in Vladivostok, and it was clearly a sabotage that was filmed on a camera, and many of you said, how is it possible? Now let me show you how it is possible. So let's go to the Vladivostok, the city on the far east, more than 10,000 kilometers away from Ukraine capital city of Kiev. So here's the airfield where the Sukhoi is based on. This is not my video, I didn't record it, but if we switch the view of the Google land out there, you can see that there are some trees, grass, the road with the cars, and there are some of the airplane fins. This is the Sukhoi Su-27. You can see no fence, nothing, absolutely no protection. So it's very easy to go there and do what they've done. Someone did it, probably the Russian resistance. And there are some of the houses and barracks, I would say. My friends, now press the like to this video and don't forget to check my personal link for the Atlas VPN Premium, which you can get with a big deal for just $183 per month with a 3 months for free. My friends, the Atlas VPN is the best VPN out there. So Atlas VPN, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.